welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this evening in mid-November. So all sixth years here will know the CAO is open, so you're in decision mode at this stage. Thank you for joining us for this accounting event this evening. So we're joined by our program directors of the accounting degree, the BSc Accounting, CK202, who are Dr. Michael Farrell and also Dr. Jamie O'Neill, along with four students, two third-year students, Liam Fitzgerald and Louise Madden, and two final-year students, Daniel Murphy and Angie O'Mahony. And over the course of the evening, there's going to be a program overview, short presentation from the program directors in relation to the program itself and how the program operates. And then we're going to have a discussion panel with the current students on their experience of the program, why they chose the program, and so on and so forth. Closing then with a Q&A with you, the audience. So you will get to ask your questions of the panel and of the program directors as well. To do so, just some housekeeping, we have a meeting chat that's on the top panel for those of you familiar with Microsoft Teams, but we also have a Q&A panel. So if you have any questions, if you wouldn't mind popping them into the Q&A, in there you'll see a post from myself highlighting that you can ask the questions, and also there's some course-related material and entry requirements-related material, just some important links there, that if you have any questions on any of the information there, feel free to ask it. So pop your questions in at any stage during the event, and we'll deal with the questions during the Q&A session towards the end of the event. And without further ado, I'll hand over to our program directors, Dr. Michael Farrell and Dr. Jamie O'Neill. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Ian, and look, thanks very much, guys, for coming on this evening, those who are interested in the program. And if you're watching this on the recording, that'll be available afterwards, welcome as well. So what we're going to do, we're just going to start off giving like 2-3 slides, just very brief overview information, because we really want to kick into our panel discussion as quickly as we possibly can. So when we come on here again, just the BSc Accounting program, it's Dr. Jamie O'Neill who's joined me this evening, and myself, Dr. Michael Farrell. We're both the program directors. And at any stage, we've just left our email address there, bscaccounting@ucc.ie. Feel free to drop us an email to that. It's monitored all the time. We'll get back to you reasonably quickly as well. So look, if there's any questions that don't get covered or a question pops up for you at a later stage, just send it on. We'll deal with it. I suppose when we look at the accounting program, when we're looking at the key program benefit, the one thing that we focus on an awful lot is it's a fast track to becoming an accounting professional. Mostly, all of our students will go on and complete chartered accountancy exams, but we also have a lot of students who complete ACCA and CIMA exams as well, different types of professional qualification. Just on a facts basis, Chartered Accountants Ireland, it is the largest professional accounting body in Ireland, and that's where most of the students do end up going. The big selling point of our program is that we've got more exemptions than any other NUI university program, okay, for Chartered Accountants Ireland. So we're even more of a fast track at the moment from a graduate accounting perspective, as well as making it easier for you to become an accountant. That also makes you more attractive to recruiting firms on top of that. So it's a real huge selling point of the program, and it's what we think is the key selling point of the program at the moment. That's not the only thing we do though. We also kind of, the top accounting firms like the Big Four, PwC, KPMG, EY, Deloitte, they'll input into our program design and delivery, which is really good for keeping our program up to date, in line with industry, working to what they're looking for. Again, we've got highly experienced lecturers. One of the things that's not unique about accounting, but one of the things that's kind of unique in general about the accounting degree is most of the lecturers tend to also have industry experience. So one of the things that we're really proud of is that even though, let's say, myself and Jamie are both academically qualified with PhDs, we've both got backgrounds in industry as well. So as a discipline compared to other disciplines within UCC, you tend to have a mix of lecturers who will have that practical experience and the academic experience, which is a very, very kind of useful thing to have. We've also got regular guest speakers, which we bring in. Again, we're very proud of our alumni that are going on to doing some really, really good things in industry, becoming, CEOs, partners in firms. We have a very strong alumni network, and we're very proud of them. And we also are grateful for the support they give us when we reach out to them and ask them to do speeches or give talks to our students. And again, one of the things we do like about the course is it tends to be student focused and friendly. The accounting group, it's the class size is about 75. And one of the things as a fourth year lecturer myself this year, it's really good that you do get to know the class pretty well and you get to kind of know the people that you're talking to, which I really like from a personal perspective. And then finally, excellent employment prospects. Look, as we know, the economy goes up and down, but generally the accountants kind of can do well in both sides. Obviously, the economy is doing really well at the moment, so employment is nearly virtually guaranteed. But even if the economy started disimproving in the morning, accountants are always going to be in demand. They're always going to be valuable to companies. So, in terms of being a recession-proof qualification, it's quite good for that. The program requirements, this is the last slide, we'll get into the panel discussion then. Higher level maths is not required. Accounting is not required. You need a H5 in 2 subjects and an O6, H7 4 other subjects, Irish, English, another language, mathematics, and 2 other subjects recognized for entry purposes. Last year, the CO points 498. Again, as you know yourselves, there's a bit of turbulence in the points nearly every year, but kind of just nearly hitting that 500 mark is what it was last year. So pretty much that's the slides. And because, again, we don't want to kind of overload you with slides. I don't think that's when we were planning this event. That's not the purpose of why we're here. But again, any of those technical questions, please feel free to put them into the chat, in the Q&A. It's absolutely no problem at all. But what I want to do now is we want to kind of, myself and Jamie want to kick off the panel discussion. And we've got so what we've got this evening is we've got 2 third-year students, Liam and Louise, and then we've got 2 fourth-year students, Daniel and Angie. What's different, I suppose, between the 2 years is that third-year students, they're just preparing now to go on their third-year placement, which they'll do for 6 months in January. Again, that's a key strength of the program. And whereas the fourth-year students, I guess they're in final year now, the kind of pressure's on them a small bit more, and they're just kind of thinking of the prospects that are ahead and things like that. But one of the things is with the 4 students, they'll give their honest opinions and try, one of the things that they're going to be really good at this evening is just kind of thinking about what information you guys need to make your decision and why they took the road that they did. So I suppose, Daniel, I'll kind of come to you first with just like what initially drew you to the program when you were, if you can think back a few years ago to when you were looking to do it, what were the aspects that you were thinking back then, notwithstanding that they might have changed since?
When I was doing the Leaving Cert, I did business, economics, and accounting, and I knew I wanted to do accounting, but continue studying economics and business and even English subjects, which when speaking to people who did BSc accounting, they said that you get the opportunity to choose those kind of courses. It's not just accounting based. And the exemptions is a big thing that made me choose the course, because I knew from that stage that I wanted to study accounting. So the fact that I could fast track through the exams and kind of become qualified a lot quicker than most other courses is a huge bonus.
Okay, cool. And Angie, just another fourth-year student, then people will get used to you after a while, but I'll just keep saying where you are for the moment. Angie, what about yourself?
Yeah, I was the exact same. I really liked business, and then accounting was my favorite subject, so I decided to go down that route. And just really speaking to people who had gone through the course and maybe who were in the course and just getting feedback from them, everything was really positive. And then I just did my own research. I looked at the modules and just thought that would be really interesting, and then just decided to aim for that, and I got it.
Perfect. And like Angie, I think one of the things I'm gathering from Angie there is just look the importance of talking to people who've done the course, because that feedback, you can look at things all day long on a website. You just need to get feedback from the ground, which is what was one of the inspirations for this panel discussion this evening, was to kind of get those insights. And to Louise, switching over to you, then a third-year student, would it be similar thing or pattern, or would you have any other reasons you were looking to do the program?
I think it was close enough to the exact same. I suppose the difference was that I only did accounting for my Leaving Cert, so I suppose like from the kind of get-go when I was studying it, even in secondary school, I kind of knew that accounting was the aspect that I kind of wanted to go down. And I was also lucky enough that my older sister, she had friends who were doing the accounting course. So again, back to the point of actually finding out from people who were doing it what to expect was a lot more helpful than something online that can explain it, but it's nothing better than word of mouth, I suppose, with that.
Exactly. And I suppose then, Liam, just switching to you, because I know, Liam, you're another third-year student, but on the exemption side more than anything else, were the like focusing on the exemptions, were they an important consideration for you, or did they become important to you, or a bit of both?
A bit of both is probably the right way to say it. I was aware of them coming into the course, but maybe not to the level maybe as other students. There definitely were an attraction because obviously the fast track that Daniel mentioned. But as we kind of moved through our course and last year gaining something called CAP2 exemptions, which is the second portion of it, that's been a real benefit because we can see ourselves following graduation, progressing fast or through our professional exams and getting further in our careers and maybe going into different sectors. So the exemptions definitely were something I looked at personally.
Yeah, and they're, like as I said, they're the getting the second level exemptions. That's a recent kind of thing for the program, and it's took a lot of hard work to get those exemptions, and it's something we kind of manage very carefully. Oh, that's really cool. Thanks very much for that, guys. So then with I suppose just focusing on come back to the third years, Liam, I'll stick with you for a minute. I guess your favorite subjects in terms of what subjects kind of, I suppose, favorite subjects. At the end of the day, you've work to do in all of them and they're demanding.
Yeah.
But I suppose when you think back to what are the subjects that you think you picked up a lot from and you said, geez, this was interesting or it was useful and stuff like that. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, it's not the accounting ones really, to be honest. Since it's such a broad degree and we kind of focus on, say, economics, focus on finance, it's kind of just when we're kind of focusing on tech. And especially this year, there's a module we study which kind of focuses on the use of AI within accounting. And I found that really interesting because it becomes more relevant each day as these things evolve. And kind of when we go further in our careers, it'll become really relevant. So kind of when we're learning about software as in accounting and how AI can be used in accounting, that's really interesting. And it's definitely very relevant to say when we move on to our professional careers.
It's good I like the way you say that because look, you kind of know coming in you're doing accounting and you're going to enjoy the accounting subjects, but then you're getting other experience and that we're obviously the technology thing. So it's nice to hear then that you're getting this other experience and things maybe that you weren't even thinking about beforehand that you're actually now doing a subject. Because as you said, if you're coming in and doing accounting, well, you're expecting to like the accounting. So it'd be a bit, it'd be a bit off if that wasn't the case. And say for Louise, again, just kind of sticking with third year for the moment and these questions, same question, just any kind of subjects that have stuck out for you in general or kind of anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, unlike Liam, I don't really enjoy too much the kind of computer side of the modules that we do, but in contrast then when we did 2 law modules last year, so when we were in second year, and I thought they were just a complete change of scenery to what we were kind of doing anyway. So law and economics were definitely my 2 favorite extra modules on top of the accounting ones that we were doing. It's just a complete change of scenery, and there's some students from the law program who are in there, and in economics kind of the same. So you're just in a different kind of cohort than what you'd be used to in your accounting ones.
It's very surprising, I guess, kind of for some people again to hear, because we'd often say that some people say, oh, accounting, it's a very focused degree. But again, from here, and we're saying, look, you were very honest there, Louisa, saying, look, don't give me the tech, but the law, I'll take that. And it's again this thing of, yes, I know the accounting subjects, they're what I like to do, it's what my focus is in, but I'm getting this opportunity to see other areas. And I suppose then when we're switching over to the fourth year students, I suppose just continuing with that theme, I suppose what's been, Angie, for you, your experience of that breadth of subjects? Have you got a chance to kind of think about other areas, even though you're focused on accounting, were there what has been your overall experience with the breadth of subjects that you've been able to do?
Yeah, so there really is such a wide range of modules that we get to choose from with our electives. So there's law, as Louise said, we also have economics, IS, information systems is a really big part of the course too. And prior to college, I really had no knowledge on the subject or anything like that. So I really got to learn so much. And even these modules will help you in your career, because we did an Excel module, and that when you're on placement, you'll use that nearly every single day. So it's just really interesting to learn more about all those different things. And even this year, one of our electives entrepreneurial finance. We have a lot of guest speakers coming in. So even like I never would have thought I would have had an opportunity to do a subject like that before going into the course. So it's just great, you know, you really can go down any path you want and through this, like through the modules that you have.
And Daniel, same question, kind of, has that been similar to your experience with that, Brett, getting some kind of like a wider aspect than you thought you might originally?
Yeah, I didn't realize how much IS I'd be doing, like information systems. And yeah, as everyone said, like doing subjects like law, economics, and I also enjoy the entrepreneurial finance module and the fact we get to choose a lot of our modules. Like this year, I think I have 3 electives, so you can kind of tailor the course to what you like yourself as well.
Okay, yeah, no, but it's good to kind of know that, because I said different people have different preferences, and it's not that you need to be good, like you need to be good at your accounting side, but after that, then like, you know, Louise kind of focusing on law economics, with Liam focusing more on the IS, and I know Daniel, you're focusing on the IS as well. It just gives you an opportunity to build on the strengths that the way you want to, you know. Jamie, do you want to continue on, I suppose, with a few more questions on the life and the program, I think about workload and all that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I was just going to ask there, I suppose from one of the third years there, if you want to take either Liam or Louise, I suppose we just wanted to ask about I suppose your workload on the program. And I suppose, like, of course, you've come into the degree and now you've a number of years behind you, and there are loads of assignments, and even though there's a lot coming at you, you have to learn to balance that as university life. And I suppose, have you any advice on how you've done it yourself?
I feel like the big change I found anyway from coming from, say, leaving cert to college is the lot of independent study we have to do. A lot of your learning and research is done outside of our normal lecture hours, which is a big difference. And it does take time to adjust to that and find the proper workload. But kind of once you get used to that and get used to balancing everything, maybe I like to use stuff like Google Calendar and stuff like that, and to-do lists and stuff to kind of keep on top of everything. But overall, our workload, I think, has been quite manageable. It obviously naturally does increase from first year to third year, but there is a time to kind of experience, you know, your college life outside of that, and activities and societies, which kind of nearly is the best thing I found you couldn't get out of UCC, is those experiences. And we do have time to do that, and naturally you're going to be under pressure, exams and stuff, but you do find that balance eventually, and it is manageable.
You know, that's great to hear. I think especially for the other activities in the university, being a university, such as social activities, which I think are just so much important. So you do find the degree gives you space for that as well, so which is great.
It does. There's natural pressures, obviously, but there is space as well.
That's good. And was the transition, can I just ask a bit on that, about the transition from, think back to your first year, coming out of the leaving cert and then going into it, like, was there a lot of kind of a learning curve there, or was it just, did you feel that, you know, it was okay?
Personally for me, sorry to interrupt now, small bit, but personally for me, I did find there was a bit of an adjustment, because if you're kind of used to the leaving cert structure of in class all day and a lot of passing exam papers and stuff, but when you're transitioning to college, there's a lot of independent learning and maybe readings and stuff, and there is that can be a bit nuanced at first, but kind of to be fair, tutorials and stuff. So maybe for the leaving cert students who are here at the moment, kind of tutorials and trying to engage with the lectures and stuff like that is where you can find out a lot of these things and get used to learning independently, maybe is the right way to put it.
Yeah, which is a great part of learning in life, is the independent learning. Exactly. Can I just ask there as well, thanks for that, Daniel or Angie, because you're now in fourth year, I suppose, and thinking back over the degree, because you've, you know, in your fourth year, what is it? Do you have any kind of thing to add to that? One of you?
Well, yeah, I agree with Liam. It's a big change coming from kind of a leaving cert environment to self-directed learning. Like this year, I only think I have 12 hours a week of actual college, and the rest of it is doing it yourself. So yeah, it's just about being organized to make sure you can fit in all your activities as well. Like, it is possible, but it's just about having organized and being self-disciplined about your own study.
Is it nearly like keeping a diary and kind of a planner, like, I suppose, is it?
Yeah, no, that's what most of us do anyway. We keep kind of a planner and schedule of our weeks to make sure we get everything done.
Yeah, and you feel that you've enough of the space left over for other activities after that, Daniel?
Definitely, yeah, there is.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. On the degree, in terms of the, I suppose, I say with the fourth years there, either again, and maybe Angie, if you want to take this one, I suppose the most challenging aspects of the program, what have you found them to be, and I suppose how have you overcome it? Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, so I suppose for me, it took me a while to learn. At the beginning, no matter what year you're in, you always kind of have your more harder modules and your easier modules. And I really found that I was just spending all my time on the harder modules and maybe forgetting about the easier ones. So I just had to learn, dividing up my time evenly, making sure I'm giving enough time to each module. I'm not just spending too long on one, and really just time management, I suppose.
So yeah, and is that something that was throughout your degree? That was something that you had to kind of
Yeah,
learn to deal with, like, is it?
yeah, exactly.
And when you say
Like,
harder modules, sorry to interrupt you, but harder modules in terms of just there was just more time needed for them, is it? Is that
yeah,
yeah?
exactly. Yeah. Just that would just maybe take a little bit longer to kind of get your head around and really go through again and again, compared to some easier modules like my favorite modules I'll look forward to studying and maybe I'll understand a bit better, and then the modules I find a bit more challenging will just need that extra bit of time. But it's just learning about making sure that you're dividing your time evenly and making sure all your modules get
So
studied done and stuff.
you overcame the challenge over time, I guess, with
Yeah,
learning to adjust
yeah,
to the degree, I guess, isn't it? Learning
yeah,
life and as
exactly.
a full-time student. Louise, can I ask you the same question about challenging the degree? I suppose what was the most challenging aspect you found and how you overcame it?
I suppose it's kind of coming on from Angie's point with kind of coming from secondary school, and there's a whole country worth of 6th years doing the same subject as you. You're all sitting the same paper in June, kind of a thing.
Mm,
Whereas in college, you just kind of have to adapt your mind to accepting that there are going to be topics that you don't like, and there are
mm,
going to be things that you find hard. And I know looking back, like I know I seem to be complaining a lot about IS whenever I talk, but looking back to like first and second year, there's still modules that I put like a lot of work into pass, and I knew that I wasn't going to get a top grade in it, but I just internally had to accept that I'm not going to be the best at this. Look, there's 5 other modules that I'm doing that I find a lot a lot more fun than whatever this one bad one is. But you
mm,
know, I feel like a lot of when I was in 6th year anyway, it was kind of the mindset of you're doing your 6 or 7 subjects. You need high points, you need high grades in all of them. Whereas in college, you do have to kind of be nicer to yourself in terms of, look,
yeah.
you're not going to find everything amazingly easy. No
Mm.
one's, going to give out to you if you don't get 625 points in every single module you do. But I'd say being easier on myself is what I kind of had
That's
to do.
great. Yeah, I
You
think so. And I think part of your growth, isn't it? Part of your growth journey from the Leaving Cert as well to learn that about yourself, I think, isn't it?
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
And how did you feel with activities then in social life? Because as you said, I suppose it's about learning to look after yourself as well. Did you find you had the space to do that? And
Oh yeah,
in the
definitely 100%. I mean, when you're starting college, there is the rush of, oh, I'm an adult now, I'm in college and I'm free and I can do whatever. And like I know probably all of us on this call who have had our bit of our fun start of college life. But I mean, there's always time for everything. No one's putting the pressure on you. Any sort of pressure you feel during college is for yourself.
mm,
You're your own pressure point in college. So,
mm,
there's always time for everything. And
mm,
if you think that from the first week of semester one, you're going to spend 6 hours in the library and you're going to
mm,
study and you're going to know everything off by heart, it's just not the way to do
mm.
it. And you'll benefit so much more when you have a lot of fun at the same time.
I think that's fantastic words of advice because I think we all learned that, even people as old as myself and Mike have to remember learning that. Like I think it is true for everyone, I think, in their degree experience, I think, so no, thanks for the fantastic words. Mike, do you want to take the program outcomes or will I start away on them?
Yeah, I suppose one of the things I was kind of listening to the guys there, even when I was
Mm,
thinking back myself, like, so Louise, I'd have always struggled with law. So it's kind of like, it's just one of those subjects that conceptually it just didn't fit the way that my mind worked. And again, I suppose it's just highlighting to the students, that to all the people on the call, that look, college is about like you have to do certain subjects. You're going to be stronger in some subjects than you will in other ones, but all the subjects will help you. I think, Liam was talking about the self-directed learning there is like, that is actually that is probably the biggest thing that the graduate employers look at. They say, these guys have learned to stand on their own 2 feet. It is difficult to do that. It's a journey they all make, but that's what makes them so desirable down the line is they've learned to work on their own, and they've learned to kind of learn, like, it's not as if, Jamie, you and me, like, our office doors are always open and we'll always give guys a hand, but even then it's up to them to come to us to look for the help. So our employers that come from that, the guys who employ graduates from the program will always comment on that the UCC accounting guys tend to be very self-starting, and they tend to be very self-disciplined as well, which is a fantastic thing. In terms of the program outcomes, I suppose I'll focus on the fourth year here, because again, the third years are about to go on work placement, but we'll kind of say it's not just a work placement here. So Daniel, if I come back, like, if you just think about practical skills, and I know we've discussed that kind of working to yourself, but was there anything else that you think you've picked up from a practical skills perspective?
Yeah, even like skills like interview skills is something that's like hugely beneficial from our course, that we do a full year-long placement module for prepping for placement, doing like interview practice, that kind of stuff. Like, because even other courses within UCC don't do that, and we could be going up against being someone from another course, we're going for the same job and coming from the same university, but we've done a year of placement interview prep, which I think makes a huge difference. It's a big skill. And also IT skills, like Angie said earlier, the Excel modules, they're huge skills that we have going in that other courses wouldn't.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we've noticed it this year with recruitment and stuff, particularly on the placement. We've seen that, like, there's accounting students who are beating off kind of people from other programs who, on the face of it, should be more likely to get a role, but based, as you said, Daniel, on the soft skills development, I shouldn't call them soft skills, but on the professional skills development, our accounting guys seem to be going in and just kind of, coming across better to the employers. Angie, same question to you, though, like, from, if you can just kind of reflect on practical skills, again, just to summarize what you think you've picked up.
Yeah, so definitely, I think one of the biggest ones I've learned is just teamwork. We have so many group projects throughout the years, and you really have to learn how to work well as a group, because you're all getting the same grade at the end of the day. So really, and then through teamwork, then, like, it's having good communication skills will really stand with you. I know when I was on placement, it's great to be able to speak to your manager if you have a question, and even like they read a buddy system, like even just being able to communicate if you have any issues, as something that we really learned. And also, like, as I said before, like time management skills, because the learning is self-directed, it's kind of up to you to do it, and then just managing your time well and making sure you get everything done is just another thing I think I've really learned throughout the 3 years.
And the thing is, guys, for like those skills, they're not, they're hard to broadcast, they're hard to describe. You don't see them on a website, but you'd see at the end that the people develop those. If you can compare someone in first year to someone in fourth year, and the fact that they are a bit older, obviously, but you can definitely see the change in those professional skills that have come about. And coming back to the third year, then I suppose, like, we'll just talk a bit about the internships. And like, Liam, I know you're heading on internships soon as well. Can you talk a bit about that in terms of the process and kind of what options you potentially had to look at?
So, going back on what Daniel mentioned, we were very, very, very well prepared in second year, knowing the interview process, the application process, kind of practicing our interviews, as he said, practicing techniques, getting aware with companies that we are applicable for. And at the start of this academic year, we led into choosing where we wanted to go. So since we had such a good idea of the companies and all that, I went down a non-traditional route. So I'll be heading to Apple in January, based here in Cork, which is their European headquarters. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and the whole process has been really, really good. And from the course, and it obviously is intimidating heading into Apple and a big building and meeting two people and sitting down for an interview, but I felt we're really, really well prepared in that situation, just from practice and being aware of what to do. And that's kind of what would set us apart in that sense.
Yeah, no, and it's something we take an awful lot of care with, because it is intimidating. You need to get used to the kind of the office politics, office life,
Yeah,
and it's
definitely.
you want to make people learn it. And yeah, definitely, because I saw you broadcasting on LinkedIn, all right, that you were going there. It's really cool to see heading to Apple
Yeah.
for that varied experience.
Yeah.
Louise, similar question to you then, when you were kind of deciding on internships, what kind of choices were you making, or what options did you have, and how did you find that process of getting the internship?
Yeah, so I always kind of knew that I wanted to follow the more professional, well, not that Liam's is not professional, that's not the right word at all. But
Traditional, I guess. Yeah.
yeah. I wanted to go with the big four. I kind of always had this kind of thing in my head that I wanted, to go to the big company and follow the crowd. But because of our module that we did in second year, that was preparing interview and kind of building up your own personal confidence, I ended up applying for a summer internship in Deloitte in Cork. So I spent 3 months of summer just gone working in their tax department. So even before interviewing for my 6 month placement that's starting in January, I had kind of an awareness of definitely what I kind of wanted, and the opportunity I would not have seen had it not been for things I had learned in college. And I definitely would not have had the confidence to go for it either if I hadn't done, all of the professional kind of interview technique learnings and things like that we did in college. So I'll be heading back to tax in Deloitte in January.
No. And it is that thing, it is a balance, Louise, between technical and professional. Like, look, you do have to get marks, you do have to kind of learn your technical stuff. But then I think accounting is actually a lot more people based. It's a social science, it's a social skill. So there's a lot more social in it than people kind of realize as well. But what I like there is we got two very diverse perspectives on the internship again. So just kind of showing like that there's huge diversity within the program that people might think about, and there is options to try traditional, which would mean doing an internship with a large accounting firm. More non-traditional is trying out industry, and again, you'll find in the future the guys, when they go into graduate roles, they might actually switch around and be back the opposite way. So it all changes over time. And I suppose that segues me in nicely to the guys who are kind of on the road to graduating. And again, we don't want to jinx anything here because you have a lot of work to do this year. But in terms of your plans, guys, Angie, like, what's the plan for after graduating, as opposed to staying up all night and kind of enjoying yourself? What's the career path looking like at the moment for you?
Well, I was really lucky to be given the opportunity to do the graduate program in KPMG after I did my 6 month placement there last year, or finished in June. So I've accepted it. So I'll be working in the audit department, which is something I'm really looking forward to. I really enjoyed it when I was on placement there. And it was great just having that, knowing that I had that going into fourth year. I didn't have to worry about, applying for graduate programs anywhere else. And I had that kind of weight lift off my shoulders. So it was just a good relief to have. And I'm really looking forward to starting there now next September.
And Daniel, then just kind of your own kind of plans then for after the current plans for after graduation?
Yeah, well, like Louise, I always thought I'd go down the traditional accounting route. Like, I did 2 summer internships in KPMG audit, and then for placement, I did 6 months in KPMG deal advisory. But I kind of decided it wasn't for me, so I'm going to Pfizer Global Finance in Dublin to do their chartered accounting graduate role, which is something I never expected I would do. But when I decided to start looking around, I kind of realized how much options we had. And any of us who are looking around have got offers, like multiple offers to think about, like, which we all have. So I think that's a big benefit of the course, is that we're all very employable after it.
I think that's a good point to kind of start leading us towards the key takeaways at the end, is that for any one of you guys, that you'll have your role and you'll go down that route. But then if you ever want to pivot back onto something else, the option will be there for you to do that as well. And I think myself and Jamie would often talk about accounting as giving you a bulletproof vest in terms of career, in terms of where you can travel to, where you can work, who you can work with, what you can work in, so that as you kind of mature, as your tastes change, you can kind of start to look at different things. Now, just in the interest, again, being an accountant, we're always watching the clock here and being efficient on things. We're going to start closing with the last question, which is just going to ask each student what they think their best kind of advice or their best aspects of the program are. But while we're doing that, can we maybe, Ian, just have the questions and answers starting simultaneously, just to give people a chance, any questions that you're kind of thinking of? So we'll start there, like Liam, like, I suppose one, the overall best aspect of the program for you, and then what would be your one piece of advice for anyone?
Yeah. So personally, the overall best aspect I would say was the broader subjects that we study and the variety of career paths we can go into after it. So, like we've kind of discussed earlier, we're not just studying your traditional financial accounting, which maybe you're used from Leaving Cert. We're going into economics, we're going into finance, we've IS, we've kind of stuff based on AI, we have like understanding capital markets and all that kind of stuff. So it really makes your studies varied. And personally, it's all things I'm very interested in. So it makes studying and say your independent learning varied and interesting. And advice I would give to someone maybe looking to start the course is, if they have the opportunity to speak to someone working in a finance or accounting profession who has a similar qualification, or um even I'm open to any emails or anyone asking me. And yeah, it's just trying to get word of mouth advice, I think personally, is what led me to study the course. Because from a Leaving Cert accounting perspective, I think you get quite an insular view of what accounting is. Because overall, it's not just your numbers, it's your strategic decision making, all that kind of stuff is really important as well.
And then we'll say go to Angie, same kind of question, just in terms of, I suppose we'll focus on what you think the best part of the program for you has been like, and again, it doesn't have to be anything technical either, but the advice then you would give for people who are thinking of the program.
Yeah, so definitely my favorite part of the course was the placement that we did for 6 months. I really just learned so much. And even just speaking to other people in my course who maybe went to different companies, went to industry, or stayed in the Big Four, just getting their feedback and just really kind of seeing, what my future might look like after college. I really found that very helpful. And any advice I would give would definitely just, do your research, look at all your options. I mean, UCC has so much information on their website. You can even look at like what modules you'll be doing each year and just see if it's for you. And again, just speaking to people you might know and seeing what other people's experiences are.
Cool. And Louise, then we'll switch to you then, just same kind of question. I suppose we'll just focus even on the advice side. You've already given some great advice through the talk, but just to sum up maybe your kind of overall advice again and what you would say to prospective guys coming in.
Yeah, look, like my advice would be, it is different from if you're currently studying accounting for your Leaving Cert. It is different. So, keep that in mind. But it is all about kind of reaching out to different people that you might know who are working or have done even a business degree, because they could tell you about accounting modules they've done. And just kind of looking on the website at the course and kind of taking every opportunity that comes in terms of like joining this live stream or watching it back. It's all about kind of active learning about the course, and then you'll be able to figure out whether it would suit you or not.
Thanks, Louis. And like Daniel will give you the last word, then your key advice for everyone before we go to the Q&A.
Yeah, like what everyone said, is speaking to people really is the best way to get around it. Like what people tell you is stuff that isn't on websites or wouldn't have been mentioned here. And also I'd say look at career opportunities after the course. Like this course, you can do a lot of masters where you don't have to go down the traditional accounting route. You can also go down like consulting route to that kind of stuff. So I'd say maybe look at where you can go with the degree in case you just don't like it.
Appreciate it. And I suppose, look, with just an interesting time, then Ian, we'll kick across to the Q&A. I see there, like, one of the questions coming in is, do the hours of classes change every year? Now, in terms of your year, you'll have classes at different times. There'll be some days you're in college, there's some days you'll have no classes, but the overall volume of work is similar from year to year. The one thing from my perspective is kind of the stakes get a bit higher as you go through the years. So like, as Louise was saying, first year is a time to, you probably have a bit more kind of letting loose in first year, but then as you go from first to second to third to fourth, you're kind of focusing more, things are becoming more important in terms of where you're going to go afterwards and stuff. Jamie, do you want to kick in on that? Just kind of, just saying that there is differences every year, but the broad overall workload is similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overall expectation in terms of credits and modules and things like that, basically, I suppose we've obviously designed the program with that in mind. So I suppose we're just aware, I suppose, of people's commitment. So we try to keep it fairly consistent, I suppose, every year. Yeah, definitely. I just see another one there about the points, and I just thought we get this question every year, and I suppose we can't really predict the points, I suppose, from year to year. But generally, I suppose you can kind of, I suppose, look at the kind of the trend in the points, I suppose, and kind of, I suppose, make your own kind of, I suppose, ideas based on that. But unfortunately, we don't have a magic ball, so I know the points for the degree, I suppose, are quite high. But I guess, look, I suppose you have to, I suppose, like anything with the CEO, I suppose you choose the course you want to do. And you don't really depend on what the points are and go with that. I think, rank this one if this is your number one course, I guess. I
What's
don't know,
kind of
Mike, if you have something to
interesting,
add to that.
what's kind of interesting, Jamie, is in the past, accounting can be counter-cyclical, which means that if the economy is doing well, the points tend to drop down because people are going into more higher risk kind of degrees.
Mm,
Whereas if the economy went bad in the morning, the accounting points would probably go up because it would be seen more as like a safe haven. So it's so unpredictable. One question, just kind of getting through as many questions as possible. What's the difference between UCC and other schools in accounting? Okay. So I'll give a very honest, frank answer here. Let's say if we compare our nearest kind of compatriots out in MTU, they have a very strong accounting degree program out there. There's some very good staff and colleagues that myself and Jamie know. The key difference is the style of learning. In UCC and in kind of most National University of Ireland colleges, a lot of emphasis is placed on you developing as an independent learner. That's what we said at the start, where employers really look for that. And they kind of say, look, you get the discipline. It's tough, but again, whatever is worth it, whatever is worth it, it requires effort. In more like a technological university like MTU, it'd be more similar to secondary school with a bit more kind of focused kind of supervision on how you're learning. Those
mm,
guys still kind of do well from the employment perspective, but it's just a different style of track. It's a different style of, but the technical content won't change, but it's that more professional skills development there'd be a big difference with. In terms of other schools on the island of Ireland, a lot of other universities, accounting is part of a general business degree. So it doesn't get as much focus in other universities. One of the things we're really proud of, we're the only NUI university that has a 4-year accounting program. So we've a lot more focused, our staff are a lot more focused on that area, as opposed to, let's say, somewhere like UCD in Galway, where you're part of a massive group of people and accounting is something that you kind of slide into more, which again, it's kind of saying that the more specific you are that you think accounting is for you, well, the more definitely you should be thinking this program because of the emphasis from the get-go and the concentration of skills we have. Jamie, I think, is there anything you would kind of pass on that?
No, I think you're right. I think the other places, as you said, I think the MTUs are a lot more like school, as you said, and I think that's the thing, and I think Louise and some of the others there, I suppose, encapsulated what happens in UCC, which is I think is a brilliant part of the process in UCC, where you have this real personal responsibility growth around yourself and your learning.
Yeah.
And I think that's what UCC gives you, and that's a massive gift, I think. So that's what I would say.
The next question then I see is, can an accounting degree be helpful for pursuing a career in finance? And I guess all of us, including the guys, the 3rd and 4th year students, will agree that we've got a finance degree as well. And what you tend to find, guys, is a lot of our finance guys end up going into accounting roles, and a lot of our accounting guys go into our finance roles. So going down one route is not going to stop you from taking the options down the line, because they tend to be all very attractive students. But yes, definitely, like a lot of accounting students. So someone might do accounting degree, then they might train as a chartered accountant, and then they might go into finance. So what you find is people's career paths get very non-linear. And again, there's no one route really. There's loads of different paths to kind of get where you want. And a lot of people's tastes change over time. What percentage of the course is traditional accounting? Ooh, tough question on that one. I guess I'd answer it by not answering it, in terms of, I would say that first year focuses a lot on leaving cert accounting, that kind of level of knowledge that you need. Traditional accounting then, it's after that, like I think in first year you do a lot of the more what you guys would know as the leaving cert accounting. The foundational concepts are very much hit hard in first year, but after that, Jamie, it'd be a lot. It's not a lot of what people would be used to seeing, you know.
No, but I think that's part of the wonder, not wonder, maybe the wrong word, but that's the point, I think, of doing it, I guess, is that if you're interested in that initial bit of it sparked you in some way, I think that's you can go off then into learning about all the different parts of accounting, I think, coming into UCC, like so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much I don't think there's much more to add to that, Mike, really, yeah.
No. The next one then is the course harder if you haven't done accounting in the leaving cert. Look, you can do the course if you haven't done accounting in the leaving cert, and people do the course and they get on fine. But obviously, if you've done accounting in the leaving cert, you will have an easier time. The first year material is easier to complete. We have to say that because you've got that experience already. But we do have people every year who've come in without the accounting and they got on fine. It just means that they do have to work a little bit harder, particularly in first year, Jamie. I think it's first year where they kind of see, because they'll be in a class with people who've done the leaving cert accounting, and it just makes it a bit more challenging, doesn't it?
It does. But as you said, they do overcome those things. There might be a little bit more self-study involved, but I think from what I can gather from anecdotal evidence from the number from what I can see anyway, people seem to be happy enough with their lot after the first year. They get on top of the fundamentals and they're away like everyone else.
What roles do the majority of students go into after college? At the moment, most of our students will do a professional accounting training contract with the top accounting firms. The reason for that is simply the top accounting firms are probably like they're arguably seen as kind of the most attractive employers, but there's a huge demand from the people from our course in particular. I'm not saying that just from a Cork perspective, I'm saying it from an island of Ireland perspective. If you've got guys recruiting in Dublin, they see guys from the accounting degree in Cork, they're really attractive to them. So at the moment, there's a huge pull from those large employers for our students. It's something we work very hard on to make sure that when we're up talking to guys in Dublin and stuff, that the Cork guys still have a very strong reputation. And it's something I'm really proud of, that they always have had a really strong reputation. Of course, the guys won't know that until they meet people from other courses and learn about what they haven't done compared to them. But, you know, there you go. Can you still progress to be an accountant without doing the specific accounting BSc? Yes, you can. So what a lot of guys do is they go off and do the general BCom degree, let's say in UCC, and they still become an accountant later on. My own background, I'm an engineer by training. I actually worked 3 years as an engineer and I switched over to accounting. Okay. You can always, the path is always open to you. But again, we'd always say the more certain you are about the path now, the more, you know, the more advantageous it is to kind of take that path. But again, if you don't take the path now, you can always swing back around to it. Just as an interesting thing, just as a sidebar, anyone who goes off and does a degree in music is really attractive to accounting firms, because what they've seen is that guys who are good at music tend to be good at accounting. Work that out. Okay, so I think it's got to do with the mathematical logic or something like that. But you know, I've seen that before. So again, you know, there's always a path back into this if you want to. How many exemptions do you get when doing this course? Well, if you have to get a certain amount of marks, so assuming you kind of hit all the criteria, you'll be exempt for Chartered Accountants Ireland from all there's 3 levels of exams: Cap 1, Cap 2, FE. You'll be exempt from all the Cap 1s, and you'll get 2 Cap 2 exemptions, which, as we said, is more than any other in UI university. Again, it just kind of saying that at the moment we're at that situation where Chartered Accountants Ireland views the course as strong enough to have those exemptions, you know. So, but again, some people will go in, like myself, when I trained as an accountant, I didn't have any exemptions. People have different paths. And one thing that's consistent, guys, is if you work hard for what you want, it doesn't matter what way you do it, you'll get where you're going. But again, the more focused or like kind of as Daniel is saying, knowing what you want, well, then this is the surefire way to get there as quickly as you can. How long does it come to be trained to become a chartered accountant? Once you finish your degree, you sign up to it's like a 3.5 year, 3 to 3.5 year training contract, which is kind of like an apprenticeship. For a lot of people, they kind of go, oh, like that sounds like forever. It's not, guys. One of the things myself and Jamie are very strong on is we really call it, Jamie, the bulletproof vest, because once you once you come out of that and have that experience on your CV and having the chartered accountant's qualification, it's, like you can go anywhere, can't you? Like, and it's that training you get. This is why you'll put it on, you'll work afterwards, send in your CV somewhere. You're more likely to get an interview compared to people who don't have the chartered qualification. Jamie, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Can I just go back to one thing there about the exemptions? I did have exemptions coming out, and I did think that at the time, they are helpful. So I would say to anyone who is interested in the degree and perhaps not so sure, that it does help. Because you are going into a training contract for 3.5 years, and there is an intensity to it. And like, I know you didn't have them, I had them, and from what I can gather, they helped me quite a lot. So I think there is a big help in having them. So that is one part of the degree, and I think that the lad spoke to that there, like how helpful it is. Like when you come out of the UCC degree, and Mike, you said you are getting the most exemptions you can get of an undergraduate degree. So I think it is a big help if you are intending to become a chartered accountant.
Exactly, because I remember when I didn't have any exemptions, I had to attend a lot more night lectures. I had to do a lot more. There was a lot more exam pressure on me. So it wasn't just me. I had me doing the exams and my firm watching how I was getting on. So, that was something, all right, like that. It comes back to what we're saying is there's paths in, but if you can pick the easier path, Jamie, you know what I mean? You're better off to kind of pick I would definitely say pick the easiest path if you can. No, and I think that is an important point, because the more exemptions you have, the more you can focus on being a professional in the workplace and getting used to that environment, So we got through a good few questions there, and I'm just conscious, Ian, that we're kind of nearly wrapping up on that. But we just want.
There's just one to highlight, Mike, from that was actually asked in the chat, which is of course recommended to students who like higher level maths, just out of interest. So, and then I think we can close off the Q&A then.
100%. If you're into maths, logic, kind of all those elements, there's a lot of numbers on the course. And then as you go through the course, again, as kind of Daniel was saying, like you can kind of branch off into consultancy, different types of roles. I mean, it is a very kind of numerical based course, and it's kind of, that's the foundation of accounting really. So 100%.
And then there's one final question, Mike, from who are the main employers, and I'll just close it out then.
The main employers initially will be the accounting firms, because that's where they train the students to be chartered accountants. But if you look at where people end up after they become an accountant, take your pick. I mean, I know guys who are like, they went back and did teaching. I know guys who are pilots now. You name the industry, and these chartered accountants have kind of walked their way into it once they become them. Like, I mean, they just, we said it at the open day that they tend to be kind of, there's a high correlation becoming CEOs of companies. You just become trusted. Your professional skills, your background, you become a trusted person, a highly skilled person. So while the initial employment would tend to focus on accounting firms so that people train and become professional accountants, once that initial training period is over, after that, it's take your pick. And again, what people need to focus on is the wage profile and stuff just rockets up then as well. And for anyone that's interested in that, I would say look up, if you type in Leinster Accounting Salary Survey, you'll get details from Chartered Accountants Ireland. They do a survey each year on the salary profile of accountants. So Leinster Accounting Salary Profile would be very interesting for some of the students out here, Ian.
Perfect. So yeah, the Q&A is closed off now. So thank you all for attending, guys, and to our panel of students as well, to Angie, Louise, Liam and Daniel, and to Mike and Jamie as program directors, and for helping run the event and the panel discussion. Thank you very much for your time. Just to maybe highlight again, it's BSc accounting@ucc.ie is the email address for students who may have any further questions after that. And hopefully, as any sixth years that were in the audience, you'll be considering the program on your CAO for the 2025 entry. So with that, we close the event. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.